A wonderful morning to everyone who has joined today from ManageEngine family. We would like to extend our warm welcome and sincere thanks to all our customers, partners, and users who are interested in our solutions. Endpoint management and security is one of the main focus area of ManageEngine. In today's webinar, we will focus on endpoint management solutions, which has different product portfolios under management and security. During today's session, we will be discussing Desktop Central Suite, which has management and security capabilities. Once again, welcome to Desktop Central training. Let me introduce myself. My name is James, and I'm a product specialist with ManageEngine. I take care of endpoint management products, including Desktop Central. I'm a seasoned technical support engineer assisting customers in their implementation, consultation, and troubleshooting in case of any challenges. So let's look at the training schedule. We are on week 3, which is asset management. This is one of the modules of our endpoint management and security suite. We have covered a couple of modules over the past week, and we are currently running on week 3 training. In case if you have missed any of our training schedules, you can always view them on the link that is shown at the bottom of the screen. If you're interested in the upcoming training, please use the same link to register yourself. Let's look at the asset management today. So our agenda, we will have an overview of Desktop Central. Then we will be having a look at the architecture behind how Desktop Central works. With regards to asset management, which is what today's session is about, we will look at some scenarios, including how managing Office 365 licenses, controlling bandwidth spikes and unauthorized applications, planning Windows 10 upgrade, and proactively resolving hard disk space issues. I've taken a couple of scenarios as well, and how Desktop Central can be great help for you in your daily activities. We will also discuss some of the frequently asked questions with respect to asset management. In fact, during today's training, if you have any questions, please feel free to chat using the chat window. I have an expert panel with me who are ready to answer all your questions. We will be using Desktop Central Server build version 10.0.420 for this presentation, and this application supports all the browsers. So what is Desktop Central? Desktop Central is an endpoint management solution that ensures all your endpoints are secure and enables the users to use them effectively for business. A popular research analyst called Forrester defines UEM as product that provides a centralized policy engine for managing and securing employee laptops and mobile devices from a single console. In unified endpoint management, you can manage endpoints in a traditional IT management fashion. This includes patch management, application management, configuration deployment, OS deployment, tools for troubleshooting, and day-to-day management activities. Similarly, endpoints can also be managed with modern management. All modern operating systems supports modern management. So it supports features like geo-tracking, geofencing, managing store applications, profile distribution to enforce restrictions, operating system reset and recovery. Can you guess the popular operating system when I say modern operating system? Exactly. So it's Windows 10. Windows 10 is a classic example in which we can manage both traditional and modern management. You can manage other functions, including mobile device management for mobile devices like iOS, Android, Windows, and Chromebooks. Then we have modern management, which is for Windows and Mac machines. You can perform things like, as I mentioned before, like geo tracking, complete or corporate wipe. You can put them on kiosk mode. You can distribute store apps and manage profile distribution. Then we have the OS deployment, where you will be able to create a single master image and deploy it to multiple machines. Now, these are the features that are offered within the Desktop Central suite. Let's quickly look at the Desktop Central architecture. Desktop Central is a client-server model application and an on-premise solution. You can have the Desktop Central hosted in any one of the supported operating systems. This architecture talks about how you can manage the local area network. When it comes to the wide area network, you can manage different locations from single console. They can connect either over the internet or using a VPN or MPLS connections. For the machines that are present in remote site, which are connected over direct internet connection, you can use a component called Secure Gateway Server. So a secure gateway is a server that bridges the agent traffic to the central server securely when they connect over the internet. When it comes to remote locations, we have a component called Distribution Server, which is used to throttle bandwidth for the data traffic between the central server and the remote locations. We will talk about this in details as we go into the training. So we can choose to have the machines communicate either directly with Desktop Central server or along with the distribution server. You will be able to manage all your mobile devices using a secure gateway. With Desktop Central, you can manage multiple domains as well as work groups. You can deploy configuration targeting Active Directory groups or OUs. So this is the architecture on how Desktop Central works. So does Desktop Central work for closed network? Yes, it does. So what is a closed network? A network which does not have a connectivity to internet or limited connectivity is called as closed network. Even if you have closed network architecture, as I mentioned, you still be able to use Desktop Central to manage your endpoints. Desktop Central is also available in AWS Marketplace and Azure. In case you're looking to host Desktop Central in any one of the cloud server, you can use AWS or Azure for now. We are also working towards offering Desktop Central as a cloud solution. Soon, Desktop Central will be available in Zoho Cloud. What are the components that you need to run this application? So these are the essential as well as optional components. Desktop Central Server is a central component that you will install. It provides the interface to the management console. The agent is also an essential component. You need this to be installed on the machines that you want to manage. There is another component called the notification server, and there is an interesting fact about this component, which we will talk more about this once we get into the product. When we look at the optional components, we have distribution server, which serves as a repository for patches, softwares, scripts that you have deployed to the machines in the remote office. We can create unique replication policies for each location as per the bandwidth requirement. Then we have the secure gateway server. This is useful if you're going to manage machines that are not part of the LAN or connecting over the internet. We also have the failover server in case if you want to have high availability, you can make use of this, and this is separately licensed. Moreover, you can also use a language pack to list the web console in your preferred language. So the supported operating system, we currently support 3 operating systems, which is Windows, Mac, and Linux. Please find the list of supported operating systems on the screen. The application server runs on Windows platform, but you can manage the endpoints with Windows or Mac or Linux operating systems. In case you have any questions, you can always reach out to support. Please refer to the email address shown at the bottom of the screen. So the agent installation can be done in 3 different ways. Since I said this is a client-server model, you have to have the agent installed on all the endpoints in order to manage them. So the first option to install the agent is via group policy, startup script in your Active Directory. You can simply download the application setup and push it using GPL. We do have automatic agent installation directly from the web console. You can add multiple domains and choose the machines from those domains and push out the agent to them. We also have scripts that you can use to install the agent. Alternatively, you can download the agent manually and execute the setup directly on the machine, and it should then automatically report back to the server. So we will be talking about the agent installation in greater details in our upcoming training sessions. If you're interested, please subscribe to the upcoming trainings. 90 minutes refresh policy. Desktop Central can scale small as well as large networks using our 90 minutes refresh policy. So what is this 90 minutes refresh policy? Every agent communicates with the Desktop Central server once in 90 minutes. Even if you have 90 machines or 900 or even 9,000 machines, the 90 minutes will be divided between them, and each machine will be given a specific time to talk with the server. The server has the intelligence to assign a time for each client to talk to the server. And this is to avoid the network congestion or bandwidth related issues. So the 90 minutes refresh policy is designed in such a way that the load to the server will be split evenly. So the ports used by Desktop Central. Desktop Central runs primarily on 2 ports, which is 8383, again, which is the HTTPS port, or 8020, which is HTTP. All the agents talk to the server using this port. There is another port, 8027, which is TCP. This is used by the notification server. This port is used for all on-demand activities like initiating path scan, remote control, etc. We will talk about this uses of this particular port in the upcoming slides. Apart from these 2 ports, there are other optional ports that you need to open. The important ports are listed on the screen. You can keep the respective ports open as per your requirement. There are a few other ports as well. You can view them using the link that is shown at the bottom of the screen. This will give you a better idea about the ports that are required. So why do enterprise need asset management? Obviously, to keep track of all the softwares and assets in an organization, to optimize the usage of software license, and to be compliant and audit ready. And you should be able to get in-depth detailed reports whenever you need it. So how does inventory scan is working? So once you got the agent installed, the server will initiate the scan, And this scan can be initiated in two different ways. Let me take you guys to the console to show how this can be done. So the first way to initiate the scan is to go to the scan system option in here, and the machines can be selected, and you do have this option called scan systems. So now this is an on-demand action which is outbound from the server. So remember I mentioned the notification server which runs on port number 8027. This port and this server will have the agent communicate back to the server to get this commands from the server. Now, this scan has been initiated and the agent scans and sends that information back to the server. Now, how do I automate this process? Or do I have to run the scan every time, like selecting this machine and clicking on scan system? Not necessarily. You can have this scheduler option just above here, where you can click on edit, and you can configure a schedule based on your requirement. And based on the schedule, the agent runs the scan and sends the data back to the server. Now, you might ask a question here, say, does the agent scans and sends all the data again back to the server? Not exactly. So the first scan will be a full scan, and during the next consecutive scans, the agent compares the old and new scan data for difference. So only the difference in scan data will be sent back to the server. So by this way, there will not be any network bandwidth choking, as it only sends the difference data, not the complete data. So what kind of data collected during the scan? So the hardware information, softwares, driver details, certificates, security details such as the antivirus information, BitLocker information, firewall, and the missing patches. You can check the USB usage, user logon details. For modern operating systems, you can also do a geo tracking. Let me show this on the console. So let me go to this computer option right here. And if I click a computer, as I mentioned, you get the complete summary of the operating system, system information, as in the users that are currently using this machine, groups that are created on this machine, driver details, shares, hardware information, software that are currently used and installed on this machine, certificate information, file details, security information. As I mentioned, you get the BitLocker information in here. And if the BitLocker is encrypted, you can get the recovery key from here by clicking on this available button. You get the antivirus detail, firewall information, missing patches as well. And for USB audit, you will get to see the number of USB devices they plugged in, when was it plugged in, how long they've been using it. All this information will be shown under this USB audit option. So to make this training interesting, I have got a scenario. Let's say John and his IT team is responsible for managing 10,000 corporate endpoints, which is located in a different geographical location. Let's say that the actual server is located in Dallas, which is their head office, where they have like 3,000 endpoints. And as I mentioned, they have multiple branch offices in different locations. As you see, we have 2,000 endpoints in London, Sydney has 500, and Bogota has 1,500, and Chennai has 3,000 endpoints. Now, these machines connect back to the server via VPN, and the Sydney office endpoints, we will consider them as roaming users. So let's say these endpoints are going to communicate to the server directly, right? So the first task given to John and his team to manage Office 365 license. So how is he going to do this? First thing, John and his team should know the number of licenses being purchased for managing Office 365 software and number of machines that has this software installed, whether it is over licensed or under licensed or in compliance. So how is he going to get this complete picture using Desktop Central? Let me take you guys back to the Desktop Central console. First thing is to create a rule under the Manage License option. He can create a rule by clicking on this Add License button. And this will allow him to choose the number of licenses that he's purchased and the expiry date for it, the purchase date, the invoice file, all those files can be uploaded onto this particular task. Now, once the rule is created, the agent does the scan and sends the information saying these number of machines has this particular software installed. Now, as you see on the screen, the total purchase I have mentioned is 29. The number of machines in my network has this software is around 18. If I want to know which machine has this particular software installed, all I have to do is just click this number. This will list out the machine that has this software. Now, I have a view of the machine that has this software installed, and this will give me a difference in count stating that these are the remaining licenses. So we will also be able to show you the compliance status. If you have more number of licenses, then we will show you as over licensed. If it goes more than what you purchased, it will be shown as under licensed. And if it's equal, then we will show you as in compliance. So let's have another scenario here. So the probability for John in this kind of scenarios, let's say the license goes beyond what is purchased. All right. So for this kind of scenario, he has two options. Either he can get in touch with his management to procure more license, or find the list of machines that has this software used less and have them uninstalled automatically. So now for the first scenario, let's say that John had sent his request to his management and he got the approval and he got the count for more number of licenses. All right. And how does John is going to add that license count in here? So under the action button, you got these three dots. Click add more, and I can increase the number of license purchased. Say I've got the approval for 10 more. I simply have to enter the number here and say save changes. And this will automatically increase the number of count for my license for this particular software. The second scenario, let's say that the management denied, stating that we cannot procure more license. So you have to identify the number of machines that are using this software, which is very less usage, and it has to be uninstalled from their machine and use that license on the other machine, which is more needy. All right. So how to identify that? So we've got this option called software metering. This option allows John to create another rule to find the number of machines that has this software installed, when was it last used, how long they've been using this application, how many number of times they open and closed it. So once the rule is added, the software metering summary will give you all those information which can be exported as a report. So with this information, John should be able to identify the machine that used this particular software, which is very minimum. And using this count, he can identify the list of machines and have this uninstall automatically using the software deployment functionality, which you guys probably gone through the training last week. So using that option, I can have it uninstalled as well. I hope everybody has understood how the manage license option works and the software metering works. And if you guys have any questions, I would request you guys to use the chat panel, and our panelists will be able to answer all your queries. So the next task given to John and his team is to control bandwidth spike caused by an unauthorized application, let's say torrents. So for this, he has to identify the number of machines that has this particular software installed, and with that, he has to do some preventive measures. So how that can be achieved using Desktop Central? So for that, we have this functionality called Prohibited software. So before going into this workflow, let me show you how he's going to achieve to find the number of machines that has this particular software installed. So for that, he can use this predefined software report, which is available under this inventory report. Let's say computer with or without a specific software. I can use filter criteria to search probably my entire domain, or I can search based on my branch offices. And once I've got the domain or the filter that I've chosen, I have to choose the application that I want to search for, and then I can generate a report. This is going to give me the number of machines that has this particular software installed, right? By this, he knows that these are the machines that are using this particular software. Now, how is he going to prevent this application being used, or how is he going to uninstall this application? So let's go back to the slide again. So we will be using this Prohibit software option. So this is how the workflow is going to go. First, John is going to create a rule. And once the rule is created, agent will notify the end user checking the install software list. And John has the ability to have this software automatically uninstalled from the console. Using the notification, he can let the end user uninstall the software manually. Say sometimes, some users have this particular software on a request basis, and they have a valid reason to use them. They can also send a request to John saying that they need this application. So how does this notification looks on the end user side? So I've got a screenshot for you guys. So this notification pop-up will appear on the center of the screen. And let's go back to the console on creating a private software rule, and I will also show you how this can be automatically uninstalled. So go to this private software option. First thing is creating a rule, as I mentioned. Once the rule is created, next thing is having this software uninstalled automatically, right? So for that, we have this option called auto uninstall policy. In here, you can configure the number of softwares that can be uninstalled. But just to notify you guys on one thing, these softwares will get automatically uninstalled during the machine startup. So when you configure this option, our recommended count is 5 or less than 5. You all know that if you increase this number for uninstallation during startup, this will affect the boot time of the end user machine. So as per our recommendation, go with 5 or less than 5. And the end user can also be notified with your customized message that can be entered in here. So once I've got the automatic policy set up, the next thing is configuring the silent argument or this switch. You all must be familiar with this uninstallation command with the last software deployment training. So if it's not configured, click this option as not configured. We've got the pre-filled uninstallation command. All I have to do is just enter the silent argument in here or the silent switch, or I can use this option. I will specify myself, and then I can enter the complete uninstallation argument in here. And once the argument is provided, based on the auto uninstallation policy, the software will get automatically uninstalled from their machine. Now, I mentioned that end users sometimes they have a valid reason to use one of the private software. If they send a request from that notification, that can be viewed under the user request tab in here. As an administrator, just click on this approve or deny button to approve the software. The end user can use it after you approve them. If you deny them, based on the auto uninstallation policy, it gets automatically uninstalled from their machines. Now, one more thing in here I would like to add, which is, say, for example, managers has a special permission to use this particular software. And as an IT admin, I do not want to uninstall this software from their machines. So how do I achieve this? We've got this option called configure global exclusion. And as I stress it, global exclusion, meaning all the prohibited software will be excluded for this particular group or a specific machine. I can either choose a group. Custom group is nothing but an option that we have in Desktop Central, which allows you to create your own groups based on computers or based on users. You can also create a dynamic group based on criteria. Once the group is created, the group can be selected here as an exclusion, or you can specify a single computer by choosing this computer's option. So this is for global exclusion, as I mentioned. But if you feel that I would like to exclude this particular group of machine for a specific application, not globally, under the exclusion tab, you have this not configured button. You can configure exclusion based on individual applications as well. So now we've got everything covered. So we've got the private software, as in we have added the rule, and we've got the auto uninstallation policy configured, and we've got the exclusion covered for managers' machines. So this is how the John and team can achieve this particular task. Hope you guys have understood this concept as I requested. If you guys have any questions, please use the chat window to get your answers. So the next task given to John and team is to plan for Windows 10 upgrade. So to plan Windows 10 upgrade, first thing, John and team should identify the compatible machines. Let's say, you should know the machine's operating system, whether it's Windows 7 or 8. You should know the minimum disk space. You should know the RAM size. So for that, you should be able to get a report, which is available in Desktop Central. Let me go back to the console and show that to you guys. So first thing, as I mentioned, we've got the predefined reports that you can make use of. I can simply click on computer by operating system to fetch the number of Windows 8 machines or Windows 7 machines. I can create groups based on that. And once I get this list, I can also use this computer by memory, which will give me the details of the memories being used on all those machines. I can use the computer by disk usage to find the storage. So if you ask me, like, these are 3 individual reports, do I have to get all these reports and collaborate into one? No, not necessarily. This is one option, but we do have one other option called custom reports, which allows you to create your own customized report. So I've got this report created already. So it's basically based on criteria. Let me edit this and show you guys. So I can add criteria based on my requirement. I can also choose the columns that I need. And once I create this report, I can simply run and save it, or run the report to get this single report. So now the next scenario is that I've got this report, right? And I have to send this report to my managers to get their approval. Do I have an option to send this from the console? Yes, we do. There's one other option under the reports. It's called the schedule reports. This option allows you to schedule a report not only for once, but for daily. But for our current scenario, I want this report to be sent to the managers just once. So the custom report that I built can be shown in here. If you scroll down, the custom report option. And I can choose the Windows 10 upgrade, which is the report that I created. I can also choose the kind of format that I need in the attachment as a PDF or XLS or CSV. And I can enter the email distribution list if I have my manager's email in a distribution list, or I can enter each individual email addresses separated by a comma. And under the configure scheduler option, I can use the once radio button, and I can enter the date and the time to send this report just for once. And as I said, you can have the option to send this report on a daily basis, weekly, or monthly based on the scheduler. And to make use of this email functionality, remember that you have to configure the mail server settings, which is available under the admin tab. And you have this option called mail server settings. So by this, John and his team can identify the machines with all the disk space, memory usage, and they can get this report sent to the manager for approval and proceed with the upgrade. So for the upgrade, they can either use the software deployment functionality or the OS deployment functionality. So the next task given to John and team is to proactively resolve hard disk space issues. So, and again, I've got this scenario in 3 different aspects. First thing, as an administrator, John should get a notification whenever the disk space goes lesser than the percentage that he wants it. And as an administrator, I would also like to notify the end user when the disk space goes lesser than the amount that I mentioned. And I would also like to see how many number of machine has less storage. So first thing, to get the number of machine which has less storage, I can use the same reporting functionality. And I can go to the inventory report. I can use the same option, which is computer by disk usage. All right, this can be exported as a report as well. And as an administrator, John should get a notification, which can be configured under the inventory, configure email alerts. We've got 2 different sections, one for hardware and one for software, okay? So in here, I can simply enable these 2 options to notify the administrator, as in John, to whenever the disk space goes lesser than the percentage that he mentions in here. And not only that, he can get alert for hardware, like whenever the end user removes an existing hardware, adds a new hardware. Same goes with software as well. If they remove an existing software or install a new software, or even try to install a prohibited software, that can trigger an email alert to John and his team. Now, this is for the administrator side. How do I notify this to the end user? So under the configuration module, I do have one other option called alerts. I can select a configuration, and in here I can specify the free space in MB, megabytes, and not only notification when this goes lesser than the count, I can also choose this option to purge temp files. You know, I can delete the temp files by in a single configuration, and this allows me as an administrator to send a notification to the end user. Also, I can delete the file from here, and we do have one other functionality which is under the tools, which is called the system tool functionality. And in here, you can create a task for this cleanup. So I'm going to choose this cleanup. And you all know that we've got the new feature called Storage Sense, which is after Windows 10 17.03. So we also started supporting that. As you can see, this option available. And Windows 10 version 17.03 and below uses the disk cleanup utility, which allows you to remove all the unnecessary files from their machines. So by this, John and team can achieve the last task given to them. Hope you guys have understood these concepts. I'm requesting you guys again. So if you guys have any questions, please use the chat window to get answer for all your questions. And as I said in the beginning, I've got some scenarios and solutions as well. Let's take a look at the first scenario. So we also use Service Desk Plus for asset management. How do the two products interact? If you are collecting inventory in Desktop Central, do we still need to scan the computers in SDP? So for the first question, how do the two products interact? We have an integration option available in Desktop Central. If you have the Service Desk Plus, go to this admin, and you have this option called Service Desk Plus settings under the integration tab. You can have the Service Desk Plus integrated with Desktop Central. And to answer the next question, Desktop Central, do we still need to scan the computers again, for collecting the inventory information? Not exactly. Once the integration is done, the Service Desk Plus uses the Desktop Central agent to collect the inventory information. So the Desktop Central scans and fetches all the inventory details and sends that to the Service Desk Plus console. Scenario 2. How can we identify the security status of the machines in my network? I hope you guys remember that under the inventory, I've shown you a tab where you can see all the security related information. You can either select computers, like computer by computer view. You can check each individual machines. Just click on the machine name in here and go to the security detail to find all this information. But if you feel that, I've got a number of machines and I do not want to go to each individual machine, you can get the predefined reports under the inventory report in here, which says antivirus details or BitLocker details. Just click this option. This is going to fetch all the information for you. The next scenario, which is, does the Prohibited software feature blocks web browser plugins as well? Unfortunately, no. For browser plugins, we have a separate solution called Browser Security Plus, which can achieve this particular task. The next scenario, shared directories with write access is a security threat. Can we identify them? Yes, you can. This can be fetched as a report under the same inventory, and you can make use of predefined reports, which is the share details right here. And the same can be exported as a report. And I've also shown you guys about, checking the same information machine by machine. Like you can go to the computer details as well, click a machine's name, and under the system information, you've got the shares that has been created on this machine. So you can check individual machines as well as get a complete report. Scenario 5. I want to identify the computers with local administrator accounts. Is this possible? Yes, it is. Let me go back to the console. So in here, you can go back to the inventory report again, and we've got the system group users report, which allows you to filter. Since I said I want to find the local administrator accounts, I will be choosing the local accounts, and I would like to find all the administrators, and I can simply generate a report. And this is going to fetch all the machines that has a local administrator account, and the same can be exported as a report as well. And scenario 6, Dropbox is installed at the user level, and I would like to get the list of computers that have it installed. How do I identify it? Let's go back to the inventory again. We've got a predefined report for that as well. So click on inventory report, and you have the option called user specific software. Click this option, and by default all softwares will be shown. You can select based on commercial, non-commercial as well. And since I wanted to find the Dropbox, I can click on the search button. I can search for Dropbox as well. The next scenario, I want to attach an invoice and other attachments to the computers to maintain records. Is this possible with asset management? Yes, it is. So let's go back to the console again. So under the inventory, if you go to computers, I have this option called add custom fields. I can click this option, and I can choose an option called file upload. And once I select them and create it, I will have an option called browse. I can click this browse to choose the file that I need. So I've got some questions which is frequently asked by our customers. First one, can we add the date that computers have been purchased? This is to register warranty, dates, etc. By default, we have this automatic scan enabled, which will automatically fetch the warranty details, as in, it can be scanned and the details can be automatically fetched. But if you feel that I should be able to add this information manually, I have this option called, you can click this pencil icon and you can enter that details in here, as in the shipping date and the expiry date. And remember, if you enter these details manually, the automatic scan will be disabled automatically. When you add a program to the prohibited software list, does it take all the versions of software into account? Do I need to update the prohibited software list every time with a new version is released? So for this to answer, we have this option called group software. I can click on this option manage license, and I do have this option called group software. I can click on this add software group. I can select the software that I want, and let me quickly edit this and show you. So I can select the versions, and I can choose the latest version as the major, and I have this option called add the following versions of Adobe Acrobat automatically. So any version that comes after this will be automatically added to this group, and this group can be selected under the prohibit software rule. So you can group your softwares, and that software group can be listed under the add prohibited software rule. So the next question, in the inventory report of computers without specific software, how to specify filter criteria and schedule them? So it's the same reporting functionality where I've shown you guys about the schedule report. I can schedule a report under the inventory tab in here. I can choose this option, computers with or without specific software. If I have to add more criteria to this report, I can click this plus icon to add the criteria and apply it just for one time. Apply, save and apply is for all the times. So you can simply select that, choose an attachment format, enter the email addresses that should receive this particular email, and you can configure a scheduler. Question number 4. In case of any issues with the driver in a machine, how can I identify the same? Sorry, I'm running out of battery. I'm sorry about that. Let me go back to the console here. In the console, I can go to the inventory section. I can go to the computer details in here, and I can choose a machine. And under the system tab, I do have this option called drivers. In here, we will be able to show you all the drivers that are being used by this machine, whether it is working or not. If it's not working, you will find it as not working, and the remarks column will show you the error marks as in a small a message. The next question. I believe I've got all the questions covered. So that's all for today training. I hope you guys have all understood the concept. Being, John and team has been able to identify those tasks given to them, and so rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. Kindly do spread the word on social medias. You can find the links here for Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn. So the next training schedule is for remote control. You can find the date and the time for GMT and EDT as well. So for GMT, it's 6:30, and for EDT, it's 11:30. And if you guys would like to schedule a personalized demo, please use the tiny URL at the bottom of the screen, and we would be really happy to provide the demo to you guys. Thank you once again for joining today's training. This is James, and you guys have a wonderful day.